In this tutorial, we're going to explore the effects and mask tracker inside of Adobe Premiere Pro. The optical tracker in Premiere Pro allows us to quickly track masks so we can apply secondary or isolated corrections to moving subjects or objects. Besides using masks with the aid of the tracker to relight a scene or brighten a face, we can also use the tracker to fix technical problems like skin blemishes or blur somebody out if we don't want their identity to be known. Let's look at some different examples of where we need to use the tracker to track a mask. In this first clip, I've already gone ahead and added a mask with a basic correction to bring more focus to our talent. The mask adds focus with increased exposure and saturation, and when I turn the correction off and on, you can see how big of a difference it makes. Now here's the problem with this mask. When I move the playhead around on this clip, you'll see that there's quite a bit of movement caused by both the camera and the talent. This is a situation where we'd want to track this mask. Let's go back to the first frame of the clip and create a track for our mask. We'll select the mask in the effects window, and under the mask shapes, you'll see the following controls. The mask path is where we can track our images going forward and backward. We can use these play buttons to track forward or backward from the playhead, or use these buttons to track forward or backward one frame at a time from the playhead. There's also a wrench icon where we can set the tracker to one of three main modes. The default mode will change the position, rotation, and scale to match any camera, subject, or object movements for each frame. The second mode will track and adjust the position and rotation of an image every frame. And the third mode will track and affect only the position of an image from frame to frame. Because we're working with motion, every shot will be different, and you might need to experiment with these settings to get the best results. Next, the area to the right is where tracking keyframes are recorded, and this will be useful when you need to manually track or adjust a mask, or when you need to use more than one tracking mode within a single clip. Next, we can use these controls to adjust the mask feather. We can adjust the intensity of a mask layer by decreasing or increasing the mask opacity. We can adjust the mask expansion. And we have the option to invert a mask and affect everything on the outside of the mask. And finally, if you happen to be working with HDR footage, you can turn on the HDR option, which will add the HDR controls to your Lumetri color tools. Let's track our first mask by pressing the Track Forward button. Please give this a moment to finish. Now that the tracking is complete, let's drag the playhead from the head of the clip to see how well our track performed. Even though there's camera movement and our talent changes the position and rotation of his head, the mask keeps its position on his face with the correct rotation and scale. Pretty cool, huh? Now, to be sure that our mask isn't noticeable, we should increase the feather around the inside and outside of the shape. Let's play it back. Nice! We were able to relight and add focus to our talent, and the correction we made isn't noticeable. Alright, in this next shot, I've gone ahead and created a rectangular mask that will help our main subject stand out by decreasing the exposure on the soldiers. Now this may look a bit odd because we can't see our subject in the first frame, so let's move to the end of the clip. Okay, that's better. As you can see, this shape was created for this end frame, and because we're going to decrease the exposure on the outside of the rectangle shape, let's invert the mask. Then using the color wheels, let's bring down the highlights, and then the mids. Now that we have our correction applied, let's begin tracking our shot, but this time we'll track backwards from the last frame. Please give it a moment to finish. The tracker did a great job matching the position, rotation, and scale of the camera. Choosing the right tracking mode and starting point, like we did in this example, is really important for achieving accurate tracking results. In this next example, let's begin tracking the shot forward. Although the track does a pretty good job of staying with the talent, the mask begins rotating just a few frames into the shot. Because the camera is stationary and we know that our talent maintains the same posture, the only variable we need our tracker to accommodate is the position. So let's change the tracking mode by clicking on this wrench and choosing position, and begin to track forward. Now that we've retracted this image using the position mode, let's drag the playhead through the clip to check the results. Much better. It eliminated unnecessary rotation and gave us a more accurate track. In this next example, we're going to solve a technical issue by using an effect mask to protect the identity of our subject. let's open the Effects tab from the menu, search for Mosaic Effect, then drag it onto our clip. Next, let's limit the region of the image the Mosaic Effect covers by creating an ellipse mask. Now, something that I find helpful is being able to see the original image when doing my tracking, so I'll turn down the mask opacity all the way to 0 in the Effect Controls panel. Let's reposition our mask by dragging over our subject's face, and then fine-tune it by repositioning the vertices. Let's begin tracking this clip forward from the first frame. Okay, now that we have our track, let's increase the mask opacity to make the effect visible. Let's also adjust the mosaic effect by increasing the horizontal blocks, then the vertical blocks. And voila, just like that, we're able to solve a common issue in no time at all. In our final example, let's look at how we can make manual adjustments to a mask where needs be. First though, to know what we're dealing with, let's scrub the playhead through the entire clip to see what happens. It looks like our main talent moves position from right to left with a slight change in rotation, but there doesn't appear to be any change in scale. So let's set our tracking mode to position and rotation and begin tracking the image forward. The tracker appears to be a good job for the first few frames, but gets lost when the female's head comes between the camera and our main talent. In the keyframe window, let's use the playhead to find the first frame where our mask goes off track. Then using the cursor, let's lasso that keyframe and each following keyframe in the shot, and press the delete key. Next, let's move the playhead until our talent's face appears again on the left, right about here. We'll reposition the mask. And when we did that, a keyframe was automatically generated in the keyframe edit window. Let's continue moving the playhead between our keyframe points to make the adjustments we need to finish our track. Please give me a moment while I do that. Alright, those edits are looking good. Let's place the playhead on the last keyframe and finish our track by pressing the Track Forward button. Well, I hope you've enjoyed learning about the optical tracker in Premiere Pro and how we can use it to address some of the more common creative and technical issues when dealing with secondary or isolated corrections.